All right. Waiting for the webinar to show up online because we don't want anyone to miss a moment.
There you go.
Okay. Join as a panelist. There we go. I've been promoted and now we are off and running. All right. Welcome to March 3rd, the meeting of the Conservation Commission. Start off with a roll call. Kristen is in the Bahamas and
Not online. No one's online. I'll keep an eye on it.
And Ann is in California, not online. So we'll start with Tom.
Tom Olson, member.
Giselle Malloy, member.
Larry Dunn, chair,
Bray Rafferty, vice chair.
Michelle Fitzpatrick, secretary.
and we have a quorum, so we will begin. First item of business is the approval of minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
And I'll entertain a motion to. And we evidently have one. Any discussion, comments?
We have public.
None?
Nope.
None? Oh, we have public. All right, so without objection, we'll approve the minutes of meeting from February 3rd. And you entered at an appropriate time because it's public communications time. Okay. All right, well, I had a few. No promises, we'll recognize you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is that.
All right. So we're somewhat flexible, but public communications, I did get an email from Margaret Washburn from the town of Thompson Conservation Commission. She asked the name of the consultant we use for our open space plan.
You tell
Are
them
you
Bob.
looking for a gig, Tom?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I told her.
I'll gladly talk to her though.
I told her that we did not use a consultant. We did it as commission members, and she said, you guys did a good job, and that was the end of that
Okay.
conversation. I did get an email from the GCA, Chris Kuhn, on two topics. One was the use of reusable lunch trays, which I guess there's a status report from the town school system. They just started out. So right now, it kind of looks like a wash. It's hard to tell because they don't have the full costs in there. They did reference, or she also provided reference for the Middletown study, which is about 45,000 students. So it's actually 45,000. About the same number of students we have, 45, 50.
100.
100, yeah.
Nice.
This is
About the same
1,000,
size.
like 45,000 is a lot.
No,
of
yeah, I know, I said that. No, that's how many people we have, not how many students we have.
students. Really?
And their study did show a positive return, but they did get a grant for the dishwashers, so remains to be seen. There was also a comment about seeking Conservation Commission support for HB 6229, which is reduction of plastics in Connecticut government facilities. That it's kind of working its way through, but it just became available online. Did I send you that, Dave?
The styrofoam one?
Mm.
No, you said you were going to, but you said it wasn't available yet.
Yeah,
So
I
that's,
just
it just came now.
I did get it. So,
I can send it out after.
yep, we could send it out afterwards. It's
And it's 4629.
6229.
629.
Close enough. So the point is, we should have a discussion on formal support of the commission to support said bill, so you do need to read it. And try and remember the schedule on it. I think we should have time. before, yes, Tom?
My concern was that the bill was introduced by Baumgartner, who's one of our
Yeah.
two representatives.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously he supports the thing, but he's introducing it. And so I think from that perspective, it might be sufficient just, and it didn't have a hearing date attached
that's
to it.
right.
So there's nothing, you can't submit any testimony.
Correct.
So I mean, in theory, we could send a letter to Andre personally and stuff as a member of the committee and stuff. But I don't think that's gonna get, us anywhere.
Andre has been removed from all his committee appointments
Oh, okay,
at this instance.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it was in the paper this
Oh.
morning. So that's what I'm saying. We'll wait and see when it comes up.
Unless you want to send it on to Gieske or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we could do that, but anyway, review it and we'll put it on our agenda for our next session. If
If it's applicable, but it's gonna probably be OBE by then.
well, if it comes up in the meantime, then, what we normally do is kind of do an interim executive call on support.
Well, I did read it last night and it's 3 lines.
Yeah, there's not a lot in there.
There's nothing there. You can almost read it here and it just says, don't, prohibits polystyrene any content. And things. So I think it's vague enough so that if we want to authorize you to take action, when it becomes available to take action, I think that might be an appropriate motion.
All right, let
Are you
me,
looking for something like that?
we could do something like that. I do have it. Let me do a share. 6229. I do not want to turn up, okay. So you're right, it's only
That's right
like a
there.
page.
Yeah.
And it basically extends the prohibition for all government contracts and facilities across the state to prohibit, reusable, not just plastics, but polystyrene. I mean, given our past discussions, I mean, this is it. I mean, that's the whole thing. So given Tom's recommendation, give you a second, well, maybe I should blow it up a little bit. Let me blow it up a little bit.
Oh, good. I like the bottle filling station issue.
Okay, so it's
Those costs, though.
more stringent than the Groton one because it covers more items. But it doesn't talk about, this is only for government use, not public use, so it's better in some aspects and not as broad in others. So would someone like to make a motion to endorse Tom's recommendation? Or Tom?
What is Tom put his recommendation in a motion?
That's better.
Okay.
That'd be really.
Well, no, I just wanted to bring it up for discussion. Okay, then, so I'd move that we authorize the chair to provide positive feedback in support of HB 6229 when available.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No abstains, carried. And I will have to keep track of that. If somebody sees, if I miss it, somebody
Yeah.
give me a heads up if it comes up. All right, let me stop sharing on that. Now, we do have scheduled a presentation by
Could I,
Corinne. Yes.
I'm not quite sure where it fits into the agenda, but someone contacted me in regards to a position that the Conservation Commission might like to take on an item. Is this a good point to?
Well, it is public communication.
It is
Did you get
public.
a email or?
No, it was personal. Verbal. It was verbal,
Verbal.
verbal.
All right.
So this is a scenic road issue. And it regards to Allen Street. And the item of concern is the new development that's on Allen Street, that new construction of houses have put mailboxes out on Allen Street at the beginning of this new driveway. And the concern was that Allen Street is considered more as an open space, undeveloped, that the developments along Allen Street are all further back from the roadway. And that the mailboxes are very unusual for there. It detracts from what Allen Street looks like. If you go to the GIS to look at where the houses are located, there is a second driveway from the backside of the properties that leads over to Pequot Avenue. And Pequot Avenue is well versed in mailboxes. Out on Allen Street, where this property is located, it's the only one located from the older houses. There's a couple of mailboxes, and then the whole length of the street, all the way up to 95, there aren't any. So the question is this a good thing to, I don't know whether there's regulations about that. I don't know about the what it would take to access road onto Pequot Avenue, but the person was asking if the Conservation Commission had an opinion one way or the other in regards to, as a scenic road, of having these new mailboxes there, where they possibly could be moved over to Pequot Avenue.
Well, you're talking about multiple questions there. One, the Postal Service, 2, Public Works,
Right.
3, maybe open space. That would mean that their mailbox is on open space property.
No, I'm not saying it's on open space property. I'm saying it's scenic vista.
Okay.
It's a scenic vista. It's not open space.
It's not a scenic road. Okay, there's only 2
No,
scenic.
it's not.
Yeah, so
No,
like,
it's not.
be careful, you've said scenic road multiple times, so just be
Well, I
careful.
said it was approached from that sort of standpoint to couch it, why the question of mailboxes there in the first place, and the person is upset by the location of it.
But that's a specific designation, so that's.
Yeah, so yeah, scenic road is 2 scenic roads, Sandy Hollow and River Road. Those are the only 2 scenic roads within town.
Right, I'm aware of that.
And then the other piece about Pequot, there is not a connecting driveway. There's a connecting path, but there is not a connecting driveway from Pequot all the way into that development.
Okay, when you look at there isn't a final.
There's not going to be a final. It's actually going to be a path.
On GIS, when you look
Yep.
at it for the town, there isn't that. It's not clear,
Yep. No, I get that.
and the houses aren't.
They're still building them. That's why, they needed they ran the utilities there. That's why that was actually in there. So, but it's not connecting.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Let me explain. There's several properties on Allen, and then there's, I think, a couple properties that may or may not, as part of the subdivision, attached to Pequot in the future, but that's not right now. They're just focusing on the Allen Street one. So,
And I think as far as the location of a mailbox is directed by the local postmaster. They have the cognizant over for each property. And so this is not a Conservation Commission issue. It's, if you want to complain, go complain to the local postmaster down in Groton. Because they're going to determine where the mailboxes belong.
When the person brought it to me, I didn't have this background information that I can pass along.
Well, and now you do.
And now I do.
Okay, so you're gonna
Yes.
get the feedback, to me. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Am I up?
yeah,
All right,
you're
have the
right, yeah.
floor.
Great, thank you. Please pull up the presentation.
Sure thing. I'm happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
There you go. Good.
Awesome.
There we go.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name's Corinne Piazza. I am the Economic and Community Development Manager for the OPDS team. So any of you who've worked with Paige before, I'm often called the new Paige. So just to provide that background, I've had the opportunity to meet most of you so far, just either through different events or meetings, and I really look forward to getting to know of you and continue working with you. And I have a very brief presentation for you tonight. It's just 9 slides, but as I understand it, you're interested in a brief update on where we're at with the Groton Heights and Pleasant Valley properties within the new town land disposition process and how that works. And we also have some new team members, myself and some other staff included. So I wanted to introduce you to our team as well. You may have worked with some of our other staff or not know them either. So let's see. Diving into that. So we are a division within the Office of Planning Development Services, and we work closely with our planning division. Whoops, sorry, I just lost my notes. Our inspection services team and our sustainability and resiliency division. We have a really diverse range of backgrounds, education, and experience. And I think collectively, if you were to ask the 4 of us on our team, what the common vein is of why we're here and what we do, it's that we're all really passionate about connecting residents with the resources they need to succeed and maintain a really high quality of life. We manage an extensive range of projects from support programs to incentives to grants, including excess property development, housing support programs, and supporting local businesses. And I'll provide just a brief overview of everyone's background. So Lauren Post is on the bottom right. She's been with us for 10 years, so you may have worked with her before. She came to us from the retail industry, and she has an incredible amount of institutional knowledge about the town process. We rely on her very heavily to know just how everything works with all the different divisions, and she's really the backbone of our team. Marshall is the bottom left, or we call him Lela, and he's our community development planner for OPDS. He started with us about 2.5 years ago. He's originally from South Africa. He's a Groton resident, and he handles all of our housing programs. So essentially our housing rehab, our CDBG funding in rehab programs, our fair rent commission, et cetera, just to name a few things. He has a master's degree in public administration, a second master's in urban and regional planning, and a PhD that's focused on affordable housing development challenges in small towns. So, and he's actually getting his 3rd master's right now. So if you have any questions about housing, he's the man. Then moving on to Clayton Potter. Some of you may have worked with him at the Parks and Rec department. He just came to our team in December as the economic development specialist, and he brings a lot of expertise in project management and community engagement and outreach. And he lives in New London and serves on the Southeast Connecticut Community Land Trust. He also is on the New London Education Foundation Board and the Southeast Connecticut Enterprise Region, where he serves as the on the Economic Development Committee there. And he's currently obtaining his certification as a Master of Woodland Management through the Connecticut Forest and Parks Association, and obtained his BA in English at Columbia, and has his Master's in Public Administration from the University of New Haven. And then finally is myself, and I won't go through my entire resume, but I have over 15 years of experience across the private, nonprofit, and public sectors. And really, no matter the sector, my work's always been focused on creating prosperous places for people to live and do business. I most recently came from the redevelopment agency of Salt Lake City, where I work closely with our mayor, our elected officials, and our neighborhoods and residents to collaborate and accomplish our community development goals. This ranged from developing wellness-focused affordable housing with green space to retail, to managing over 30 million in incentives to help see our city's visions come to life. On a smaller scale, I worked on different projects like cultural district implementation, placemaking, public art, implementing park space, and supporting local businesses. Prior to that, I worked with NeighborWorks Salt Lake, and we focused on equitable access to housing, as well as empowering local residents to spearhead their own small projects. That could be anything to needing a crosswalk near their kids' school to public art. In my educational background, I earned my undergraduate degree at the University of Rhode Island in communications and my master's in city and metropolitan planning from the University of Utah. And I think a trademark of my work is really bringing those two backgrounds together and being a conduit between plans and people, because you can have the best plans in the world, but without public support and that vision, it's hard to make them come to life in a collaborative way. So finally, a little bit about why I'm passionate about this field. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to go to Guatemala for a humanitarian project and work with women by providing them microloans to start their own businesses, lift themselves out of poverty. And it really set the trajectory for my career and sparked my passion for connecting people to the resources that they need to utilize their talents and succeed. And although my career has taken me very far nationally, internationally, I'm originally from Connecticut and essentially very happy to be returning home to contribute to the town of Groton, as well as Connecticut's overall economic well-being. Next slide, please. So that's our team in a nutshell. And all right, so for the disposition process background, as you know, the town council worked on a new process for about 2 years before I was here, just putting together an update, and they approved that new town-owned disposition process, town-owned property disposition process in July of 2023. Then in September, we got the go-ahead to issue the Groton Heights and Pleasant Valley request for proposals. An important piece of this as well is when I came in, I reformatted how the RFP was structured so that our entire process moving forward aligned with what we were asking developers to propose and how we were scoring it. So it was easier for committees and the council to kind of compare apples to apples across a lot of different project concept types. In preparation for this new policy and posting those RFPs, our team worked with the town manager to identify all of the many administrative steps that actually have to happen in order for those bigger policy pieces to come together. Thank you. So for Groton Heights, the request for proposals went out. It closed on December 2nd. And then it moved into the next phase of that disposition process, which is the PSRC committee. And they held a 4-meeting schedule, and we just wrapped that up in January. And I'm going to dive into what that actually looks like and what that process is in some later slides. And they just recently made their recommendation of a short list to the town council in February. Pleasant Valley is just right behind them, with the RFP closing on January 21st. And we're currently in the PSRC committee process right now, and anticipate having a recommendation of the shortlist preferred developers in early April. These were intentionally slightly staggered. It takes a lot of time for developers to put together a thoughtful proposal, especially for how much information we're asking for. So it gives them time to do one at a time, and then also gives us as administrative staff and then also our committee and council time to really digest these. So that's why they're slightly staggered. They take quite a bit of work from all parties involved. So I like to touch on why we go into executive session. So with our Property Sale Review Committee, or PSRC, if you've been following along, you'll see that we go into executive session, and there's a lot of really good reasons for that. And the first one is it's required per Connecticut state law. This really allows to provide for confidentiality and for any partner that's bidding to be able to rely on a consistent process across municipalities, whether they're applying for something here or, a town nearby. It's also to protect proprietary information. So as a town, we're interested in the best possible offers. And so we have to be able to guarantee that certain information that allows the developer to set them apart from another is held confidential until the end. So if they have research that puts them ahead of their competitors, we're not going to release that in the beginning. It allows us to make sure there's a fair process for that information. Again, next one is fairness. It's really about preserving the integrity of that process, so there's no interference, either from folks who are bidding and competing for that bid, or really anyone. So it just allows for there to be a fair review without any interference. It's also a really big town advantage. So this allows us the strongest position in negotiating, essentially. So if you were selling your house and everyone who made an offer, if that number was public, you would no longer be able to pick the best deal. You'd have to pick the cheapest, because after that, once that information's out there, of course, no one's going to offer more than the cheapest price. So essentially, it's really helpful to the town to make sure we have the strongest position possible. And then finally, within that policy, there's checks and balances within executive session. So these aren't one-on-one negotiations. When it's in session, it's the checks and balances are built into the process with your elected officials there, your town staff, and your respondents. And then also the information is public at a certain point, just at the right time, so that it's a fair process for everyone. And that's when someone's under contract. So again, no one's interfering with the potential winner along the way. So don't worry, you are not expected to read all of this text from where you are. Dave will send these slides out to you after, but I just wanted to walk you through how this graphic works. So when you're looking at it later. So essentially, the new process is long. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of text, but I wanted to put it into a graphic depiction. I call these Candyland boards essentially, so that it's easier for folks to understand what happens when, why, and what the outcomes are. So you'll see at the top, we have phases. Essentially, we just broke down the steps into what we're trying to accomplish in each phase. The green one is property review. This is essentially deciding if it's an excess property and should be put up for development. The blue one, or phase B, is identification of public benefit preferences. This is where the town council spends a lot of time gathering information and deciding what the property could be used for. This is, of course, different on each type of property, depending on all sorts of things, neighborhood needs, zoning, as well as site constraints or opportunities. Then the orange, or phase C, is project concept and development partner selection. This is where we are with our two properties right now. And this is where the RFP comes out and we go through the whole process of selecting the preferred concept. And then you move into the green phase, or legal agreements and project concept approvals. This is really important because we usually get questions like, well, how do we know everything that was discussed will take place? This last phase is where all of that happens. This is where the town has their teeth. We use legal agreements to ensure everything that was proposed is legally going to take place and how. So the pink text there, and you can see the little "We Are Here" star. That's where we are for Pleasant Valley and Groton Heights. And essentially it's the property sale review committee going over those responses and making a recommendation of their top finalists to the town council. And then when you dive into this graphic too, you'll see on the top left, there's purpose. Then it moves into steps and participants. Those are all the policy steps. And then outcome at the bottom. And then there's that little arrow that swoops up to the next one. So essentially each block builds on the next one to get you to that final outcome. This is just zoomed in a little bit on those last two phases, because again, that's where we are now. So the PSRC process is estimated to take about 60 to 90 days. Once that shortlist recommendation is made to town council, they go through a very similar process in reviewing the finalists, and their selection takes about 60 to 90 days. Then we move into the negotiation and those legal agreements, which is an additional 60 to 90. Thank you. All right, so diving into what the PSRC does, it's one of our goals was to make each of the portions of the policy very succinct and very clear of what the objectives are of each step and what the outcomes are. So it's really just a 4-meeting process. And this committee is selected by the mayor. It includes 2 town councilors, 2 RTM members, an Economic Development Commission member, and the town manager and an OPDS staff member. And essentially they have their first meeting where they go over the RFPs, they do a preliminary scoring, and they score based on the requirements within the RFP. Then for the second meeting, they have a discussion of those and they arrive at who their top choices are. They also identify any additional questions they might need some answers on, and they ask them to come prepared to their interview. The third meeting and fourth, if we need both as far as scheduling, is the interviews of those shortlist candidates. Then they arrive at a selection, and this isn't predetermined. It could be one, it could be all of them. It just depends on the talent pool and how well folks have responded, and they make that recommendation to town council. Again, you don't have to read all of this text on the left, but I wanted to point out that this kind of ties back to how the RFP is formatted. The scoring criteria is very, very clear. It's essentially based on what the town council outlined as their goals for the property. And this is called the preferred scope of development in the RFP. And it's very clearly outlined in each of the documents. The score basically based on their project approach, their qualifications and experience, their project viability and timeliness, and their benefit to the town that they propose. And with our reformat for these RFPs, we really dug into making sure folks are identifying exactly how they're meeting that preferred scope of development, the feasibility and timeline, and any proposed incentive that they need to help offset the public benefits we ask them to build for us and the value that they're providing for the town. And I do want to note this is preliminary scoring. When the PSRC does this, it's just to help them get familiar with the RFPs. There's a lot of information. It just helps them dig through in a systematic way so that they're prepared for the discussion when the group gets together. Those are not the final scores. Next, please. All right, and we're almost done. So once the committee makes their recommendation to town council, these are the town council steps. They go through a very similar process where they get the RFP responses and they review those, and staff presents to them essentially what the outcome of the RC process was. And they have the option to either select a finalist then or interview those finalists. And then they would go through the same process, have a Q&A, ask for any potential additional information they're looking for, and then they would select their preferred concept. At that point, there's a public hearing. The materials are available to the public so that they can look at the preferred concept that was selected. The town council hears the public feedback, they move into a decision, and then that recommendation is forwarded to the RTM. And that's essentially it for the overall policy. Then it moves into legal agreements and negotiations, but we don't need to dive into that here. So at a very high level, that is where Groton Heights and Pleasant Valley are at this time. So I can answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, so let me give you the view from the Conservation Commission. From a process point of view, we participate in the TOP, which is at the very, very beginning. And we're public input at the very, very end.
Mhm.
Nothing in between, which to me is an issue. We've strived over the past number of years to work with economic development, that economic development and conservation go hand in hand. There's a reason it's called Plan of Conservation and Development. It's not, if you're wholly centered on development,
Mhm.
then you're kind of missing.
Yeah.
It's buried in there, the public good. I mean, it's kind of buried in the weeds.
Mhm.
And so I'm a bit disappointed that, that we weren't involved between the very beginning and the very end.
Sure. So that I don't know if is a conversation for tonight, because that took the council 2 years to put together that policy. So I don't
understand
think
that.
we're diving into that necessarily, but I do want to point out some places that the engagement does exist. So it's not just the beginning and the end. You have the opportunity, especially when the town council is working on what goes into the RFP as public benefits. All of those are open. They have public comment and folks can provide feedback there. And if you dive into the RFP documents, I'm happy to send those to all of you, or they are online as well. They very clearly line out the preferred scope of development, which includes sustainability. And I can dive into those a little bit here. So I think that part's important. If you read that preferred scope of development, that is a preference for the RFPs, and that is on there as large and as big and as important as some of the other goals that are listed from a development standpoint. Because I couldn't agree with you more that they should go hand in hand. How do we balance the two?
Yeah, I don't want to relitigate past because I lived through it. And, wasn't happy about how that was handled. Having said that, it does say that, I guess from the commission's point of view, we have to be a bit more diligent and forceful on the feedback as we go through each one of these, given we're not in the process per se.
We're not an official part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the only part of the official is way at the beginning. At the end, we're not part of any process. We're just a member of the public. So in reality, our only formal role is at the very, very beginning.
Mhm.
So let me ask this,
Yeah.
since you represent the staff on
Mhm.
this whole thing. When we have comments upon our review, I assume we can come to you and say, here's our view, here's our outlook, here's what we think. Yeah, I know you're talking about this portion of the parcel should be reserved in the RFP for open space, whether it's because of it's undevelopable, because of wetlands, or there needs to be money versus land, which is the requirement, right?
Mhm.
And so that decision, we'd like to weigh in on, do we accept money or do we accept the land? And
Yeah.
again, it depends on where the parcel is.
Right.
Right.
Right. You're absolutely right. I think each parcel has a lot of different factors that really play into how to balance those things. And I think all those comments would go to town council because ultimately they're who gets the
That's not what I
PSRCs.
What I asked was, can we come to you as the Economic
Right.
Development Council staff?
Right. And my answer is it should go to town council because they're the decision makers, we're the administrators. And so I do want to point out as well, so for the preferred scope of development, you have a lot of different sustainability features in here, retention of significant trees, a lot of minimization of lighting impacts, things like that. And for Pleasant Valley in particular, it calls out a need for the importance with zoning to maintain 20% in its natural state, as well as a call for recreation space. So this is a good example of how things are being balanced. So there's an ask for potential housing, as well as balancing that with recreation space and it being thoughtfully integrated in a comprehensive design.
Not quite communicating. Because your process says that the town staff provides recommendations on the RFP content to the I understand town council approves it. But do you not provide recommendations on the RFP content?
Not really. It's based on zoning and a lot of different things that they dive into. So if you wanted to come to us, we could say we've heard from this, but we are trying to point everyone to the policy itself and the elected officials so that they hear everything from you directly. But if you want, we could take that and give it to them.
Comments from other commission members? Tom?
Yeah, I'm reviewing the things here, and the word open space shows up 0 times in the RFP, other than in the background information that the town has open space. As on that, but it only shows up one other time in this, what you mentioned is the recreation space in the Pleasant Valley. I know that we had put in inputs on Pleasant Valley in particular. We were very concerned on, and to see, I guess, only show up the word open space once as a recreation space, we're kind of scratching our head as far as on that process. And I guess this is water over the dam to a large degree, but as we look at the other, there's still at least 14 other parcels that are to come. And I think what Gary is looking for, the chair is looking for here is how do we ensure on a go forward basis that we can input into the system better?
Well, I think for the first question about Pleasant Valley, I think part of the reason it's focused on the additional recreational space is because that's not required by zoning, where the zoning does require the 20% to stay in its natural state. So I don't know if that's maybe the balance you're looking for there as far as the open space requirement. But then, yeah, with this one, I was not here for, how you inform this process or not, but moving forward, I think that's one thing the council tried to accomplish with the new policy was input in the beginning so that upcoming parcels would start with that TOPE evaluation, essentially deciding if the property should be excess or not for the reasons the policy walks through. And then once it goes to town council and they're deciding what informs RFP, I imagine that would be probably the strongest place that you'd want to focus your energy in what you'd like to see for that parcel so that it can be required in that preferred scope of development. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's not what we're happy.
So let me try it a different way.
Well, I feel like largely this might be a conversation for town council
No, no,
because we didn't write the
it's not.
policy.
It's not. So let me go back to the beginning. The town council does not create these documents. Town staff creates these documents.
No, they inform the entire preferred scope of development. We went through several meetings with them working on that list and putting it together. So
But
it is
the
a town
first time
council
through,
decision.
that's what he's saying. There's nobody on the town council that drafted the
Any of this.
initial draft.
Mhm.
Let's talk about who develops the initial draft.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about. So the TOPE, of which we do have an input, but we're participating in, provides a set of recommendations. When the town staff gets that, to create the initial draft.
Mhm.
Is the process to then go back and says, we created initial draft based on what we heard, go back to the TOP and say, hey, this is what we heard from you and this is what we're going in with. So at least we can say, that's not what we said, or yes, that's what we meant. Is that at least
Yeah.
in there?
No, I got what you're saying. So the TOP doesn't determine what should happen with the property. They're going through the policy and basically saying, has it met these different requirements, such as, is this property no longer producing a value for the town? If the answer is yes, you move on to the next question. So they aren't determining what happens with it
Yeah,
necessarily.
there is elements in the TOP.
Sorry, I mean to the extent of what's listed in the RFP. So then when when staff takes that feedback and does that initial draft, it's proposed to town council, and I think that's where the public comment comes in. So essentially, you can review that draft, it's in the packet ahead of time, and they can collect feedback on it. And if you feel like that needs to be stronger, that's definitely something we can look at with town council in John Burt as well. But I don't have an answer past what's currently in the policy for you at this time.
It's frustrating because to some degree, the town council discussion of everything is done at a committee of the whole prior to any public input.
Yeah.
So we as inputters to the process, as a commission here, we're coming in as the general public. And from our viewpoint, I'd like to be able to say that we're getting our inputs in earlier in that process so the town council hears them when they are able to discuss them rather than after they've already voted on it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So would you recommend, like your ideal situation would be, once it goes from the TOP and they've say given an approval on it is deemed excess property, that there maybe is an extra step in there that every commission is invited to provide comment that then it helps inform the RFP?
Well, the TOP has housing, conservation, ECD, EDC. One other's in there. Anyway, the commissions are planning and zoning, I think.
Yes, plans.
So the commissions are there, that's my point, the commissions are there as part of the TOP. Therefore, and we do talk about open space versus development, I mean, we do. Right, so I don't fully agree with what you said, that we only talk about, should we sell it or not? There's more things in
Yes,
that.
that was just an
discussion.
example of one of the questions that
Okay,
you
yeah,
go through.
okay.
Yeah.
So my point is, when we go through that exercise, that is our, right now, by the process, our only valid input.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying, and what Tom kind of echoed, is that as that then goes through the staff mill
Mhm.
to present something to the town council, that we go back and say, yeah, we heard you, but we decided from a staff point of view, we're gonna ignore some piece of it, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, so
that's the step I
yeah.
would like, not that we have yet, and, bring the TOP back again at the end, no, go back and say, here's the work we've done from your input, here's the list of items, and it's either yay or nay on it, which then would allow us, from a commission point of view, to take exception to the staff work.
So you're saying essentially, once the TOP kind of comes up with their list of what they would like to see, staff drafts an RFP and goes back to TOP first before town council?
Yes,
And that would totally be up to John Burt, so.
well, because the TOP is open to the public,
Mhm.
and they are there in those meetings, so it's. All right,
Yeah.
let's see. Do I need to go back to John, or will you take this?
I can give it to John Reiner, but I think maybe it's for the commission to request of John Burt, I think would probably be the best step forward. And I think to your point, with upcoming parcels, it would be good to do before, but also keep in mind.
This is now beyond the time when I'm not saying do it now, I'm saying
Correct.
before the first draft goes to the town council.
Right, for an upcoming parcel. It does
Right,
not have a
it's
draft
also
yet.
not go for, we understand that, we're not trying
Yeah.
to fix anything in the
Right,
past.
I'm agreeing with you that essentially with upcoming parcels, before it's drafted, you could request out of John Burt, and keep in mind the time frame that might take to get that approved as well. Just because I know there's a lot of interest in, especially in some of the ones that have been sitting vacant for as long as they have, to move ahead. But I think the official request coming from you as a commission, we can support it as staff and also forward it to John just per this conversation. But I think coming from you too, John, would make the most sense to get that problem solved or integrated into the policy with an update.
Well, with the commission support, I will reach out and contact
Yeah.
Mr. Bird. Okay, so I will do that.
And is that to come essentially in a formal memo or request like
will
within
be
that
a
town
memo.
policy? So it'll be like a very
Yes.
specific step within, so that it fits in. Perfect.
And I'll even copy you on it.
Perfect. Thank you.
If it does,
Excellent.
unless that hurts you.
No, it's fine. I just work from the policy that was adopted. So whatever gets adopted next is what I work from.
Well, it's not, okay, I'll stop. Well, I do appreciate, having said all that, I do appreciate you reaching out and coming to talk to us so that we can actually share with you.
And this was
Okay.
really interesting. I mean, just
Great.
seeing the whole process was really interesting. from my
Great.
perspective. So thank you.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted to create the graphic because it's a very complex policy with a lot of moving pieces. And I think it provides a visual that helps folks start being able to see what happens, why, and then to this whole conversation,
And-
seeing exactly where
We're-
you could
we're
create
looking for
change.
balance.
Yeah,
Development, and
Mhm.
thing. We're not, matter of fact, I think when we did our first review, 80% of the vacant properties, we said, have at it. Full development, we have no restrictions, you don't need our input.
Mhm.
There were like, I think, 3 or 4 that we said, some of those, those for these reasons, and we actually had published that.
Yeah.
So it's not, this over encompassing area, it is very specific on it.
Yeah, and just from a historical perspective, a number of years ago, we saw parcels moving already. And we provided inputs into the prior staff people, in this case. And they seemed to just vanish and not,
I see.
nothing happened.
Gotcha.
And by the time the thing comes out, it's a done deal, and that's when we finally see it, and just with the general public. So that's our concern.
absolutely. And hopefully too, with some of the new materials that we're producing too, again, that visual depiction, folks can see where decisions are made, and the outcomes. And then also if you make that addition to the policy, it kind of helps. We can just put it right in there, and people can see how it's evolving over time. And I couldn't agree more on the balance of things. I think, it's important to find that middle ground. And a lot of times it's on a parcel by parcel basis. But overall, the more we can just keep evolving the process, the better. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's the public communications segment of the agenda. And now, I get to keep talking. All right, report of chair. Let's see. All right, so a few things, I'll see if I can zip through them. I did review the state P O C D. There was a document link that was provided to the commission. That's correct, right?
That is correct, too.
Okay.
You guys all got it.
And my net is very generic, high level. There is a section on Groton in there, but did meet and you'll get it from 2 other commission members, is that with Parks and Rec on February 5th, and we'll review that under section 6.7. Tom and I met with GCA on 2/25, and we had a discussion there, and there is one of the actions which I sent out to you guys about, and we'll discuss later about regurgitating is probably not the nicest word, but bring back the POC at the time we did call it POCD, the POCD sections, and get that back on the table. So we'll talk about that later. I participated in Robert's Rule of Order on February 27th. I attended the Wolfbrook Forest Management Plan kickoff on February 28th. The town has hired Josh Miller, forestry consultant. And we highlighted the open space stewardship plan that we approved. And there'll be time, I guess, after his report, I think the end of March is when his initial next checkpoint is. And we really, want to see, how he's doing this. So it's not just, we talked about not just an inventory of the trees and diseases and that kind of stuff, but also, are there trails or not trails? Do we restrict bikers from certain areas of the property or not? What do we do about the cultural areas of the property that need to be restricted, et cetera, et cetera? So he seems to be more oriented towards the former in terms of tree and tree health. So we're gonna have to, watch that to make sure that we control all of it. The other item was how to involve the community in the proposed plans that come after his analysis. And an wrong word. An unresolved one is what's the management structure for the property? So we brought up, the Pequot approach, where there's an independent commission. We talked about being under Parks and Rec. We talked about, in some communities, the Conservation Commission has an ownership, and we it's not our approach here. But you never know. I mean, I'm not going to take anything off the table. It's up to the commission if we want to take a more proactive role in management of that particular property. And that was my input. So the next topic is the report of the commission members.
So I attended the Roberts Rules and FOIA meeting as well. And I had several conversations with students from the project, but that's under the project, so I will cover that when I get there.
I also attended the Roberts Rules, as well as the bike pedestrian new master plan when Tom was there.
Basically, what I did was work with a lot of the college students, setting up their projects, helping them work through their proposals and whatnot. I can get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I also attended both the training session as well as the Complete Streets presentation. And I also attended the February 5th Baker Cove watershed meeting. Not really a lot of issues that directly affect us relative to the April 11th cleanup that I presented there. I've gone out, just for information on that, I've gone out and now walked the various sites to come up with a list of what needs to be cleaned up and stuff. And we're basically have about we'll need four principal areas, teams. The site for Birch Plain Creek Park on the city side behind Branford Manor is in really bad shape. Again, this is as bad as it was a year ago. It's like we never were there. Branford Manor has, and there's also some trees down. They're going to try to get those cleaned up right on the trail. They acknowledged that already and said that they're going to be trying to get those cleaned up before our cleanup, which should help being accessibility into the area for in getting down to the river, down to the waterfront. Also up the Groton Estates area, which was really clean last year, we were in and out of there in 5 minutes. This year, it's a total disaster. There's stuff into the Birch Plain Creek. A number of items are submerged out in the water and stuff, and so it's going to take some extra cleaning and stuff. The stuff up at the electric boat, M-Lot there. The washer and dryer is still there, but there's still other stuff that can be cleaned up in that area. It's a perennial problem area. And then Sparkle Lake, the Sparkle Lake itself is not bad, but when you get up towards the golf course, the old golf course area, that's kind of in rough shape, and it can, and as well as, and same with for this the Joel property coming down to where the folks were back in 22, we had the compound that was, everybody was living there, that they cleaned all that stuff out. Now, if you continue south of that, again, towards the golf course area, there's some areas that need to get cleaned up in that. So I think it's going to be a team coming from Sparkle Lake, just going across the golf course and getting out to the other area. So I'm going to be contacting the folks, the realtor there, and see if they can get us access to the parcel at 42 Thomas Road, to get permission to walk through there and clean up the stuff along there also. Then just continue over to, the Joe property. So those are and then we've got teams coming up for definitely from a Mystic Aquarium, as well as from the NER, as plus whatever, and there's going to be, online stuff that'll be coming out here over the next month here for signups and stuff. So we'll take people off the street as well as the two major older groups, folks. So things are lining up for a lot of effort on the 11th of Friday, excuse me, Saturday, the 11th.
Do you have a rain date?
The rain date's the next day, yes.
Okay. Dave. Is there a prevention option here if we come up with an area that like the Branford, where is the repeat dumping grounds? I mean, it seems like
It's private property.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we can't.
It's a blight issue
Um,
and it's also within the city.
I'm
And when I have personally, when I met with the manager last year to get permission, because I was directed by the city planning department to go talk to her, which I did, and I had a one-on-one, and she acknowledges that she's supposed to be doing more. But she says she has a full maintenance crew and they're supposed to, they focus on maintaining the apartment complexes and stuff. That's the same people that are supposed to go on the other side of the fence line and clean up all the stuff that's blowing out of their parking lot and washing down their, because they have this fence and there's a big hole under the fence where all the water and stuff just flows down to the Birch Plain Creek. It's just very poorly designed MS4 conditions and
well, if
stuff.
but
It's all private property and
I
they
understand
recognize
that,
that
but
they have it.
But when I owned private property in Cranston, Rhode Island, it was on a ravine, and the people across used to throw washing machine tires
Yeah.
into the ravine, wound up on my property. I got letters that says, if you don't clean it up, it's $100 a day. Right? And then I had to get my property manager.
Yeah, and that's the
to
blight
Clean it
that-
out. Is there something from the town's perspective?
It is.
Not town,
It's a city issue.
Yeah,
It's a
you'd have
city-
to go through a blight, probably
Yeah,
the blight
it's
ordinance
totally
in the city, yeah.
It's all 100% of the city.
Yeah.
And they know about it. And I can tell you that Sierra is my point of contact. She, similar to Dave here, she's gone in and complained to the lady, the complaining knows her, has a pat answer. And she is just inundated with so much stuff from other people complaining. The lady, I would not want her job. Because she's
Well,
taking
that's why the
complaints right
fine
right.
per
left.
day was a motivator.
But
Oh, absolutely.
again, it technically, is it a blight issue? I would consider it a blight issue, yes. But I don't even know if they have a blight enforcement in the city, but I just get stuck in this
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's Baker Cove and they used to have the mayor attend these meetings. He stopped and then Sierra was coming, then she has stopped. So there's very little interest from the city anymore.
So technically, I guess, but the Baker's Cove Committee could send a letter to the mayor
Yes.
and complain about, that's not something
But
we could
at
do.
this point, I'm gonna wait until after the fact and we are taking an effort to kind of measure metrically how much we're going to take out.
And take pictures.
Yeah, we took pictures last year, but we didn't follow up. We had Andre there and stuff and it was very proactive, as far as, and now that we have a year of use, of monitoring it better, because on the 2 years ago, we didn't get down to this
Right.
part of this section. We I didn't have that big a crowd. Last year, we got the extra people. We did this section and to see it come back is just as bad as it was last year. Is kind of disheartening.
Yes, yeah, that's.
But,
right.
and it's disheartening to see this other area that was fairly clean get even worse than what it is at Branford Manor, which is very much more disheartening. And that's all on city property. Everybody's dumping onto the city property.
So what about a suggestion here? If you wanted to do something on behalf of the commission, what if you reached out to the cities? I know they're combined, their commission / wetlands, and just say, because of our involvement with Baker's Cove and the College students and whatnot, I mean, just a way to kind of spur them.
I can tell you
They
the
ignored
interest
us
level,
last
I
I know-
personally
I know it
attended
is.
2 of their meetings.
Yep.
And both times they told us, we are 99% inland
I know
wetland.
they are. Yep.
And the only time only conservation stuff I do is to review the POCD
CD.
updates.
Yeah.
So
No,
there's
I know
no
that.
wetlands on the Baker's Cove
That
property?
was the next thing I was.
Well, the wetlands is permitting, okay?
Oh,
No.
okay.
Not-
Okay, there's nothing, they have the Wetlands Commission responsibilities is not for
Take care of
maintenance of it,
wetlands.
right? That's a
Just like
blight
our
issue.
wetland
That's a
I
blight
don't know that much about what they
Yeah.
do, so that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
The
permitted.
property
Just
issue,
permitting.
blight issue.
All right, well, I think that maybe, let's do the event
Well,
get
so
Okay, yeah, we- we have a
documentation,
side conversation.
and then
I can coordinate with the Baker's.
maybe we should invite a reporter from the day to the event. Okay, just thinking out loud. What?
I love your ideas. Wow.
I can take that under consideration.
Okay, all right.
Or
I
have-
mean, it's,
or
I'm
have
not,
Darren do it.
it's,
I mean, they're coordinating the whole thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. Put it on your shoulders.
yeah,
Let them talk to the day.
I mean, it's a valid
Mhm.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
community effort.
And I understand the issue with the joint wetland / conservation, but if you also don't try and send something out there, you know, like they're not, if all of a sudden they have something that's addressed to them, that's outside of wetlands, maybe it sparks something.
I'm
And then
not-
maybe it goes to zoning for enforcement, you know?
I'm not disagreeing.
No, I'm just saying, like, just because that's how it's been done.
History doesn't vote.
And I get it. And I'm just saying, just because it hasn't, doesn't mean you don't try. That's what I'm saying.
We'll revisit this.
Yeah, that's fine.
After
At that
the
point,
event,
yeah.
documentation,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Be
Right?
interested.
I was just
Okay.
saying, at the event,
Yeah,
you might get some publicity and that might be of help.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
that's it. I have one other area, but it'll come up in the open space planning.
Okay.
Larry,
Hmm.
you want me to give Ann's report?
Oh, that's right. She did send an
She
email,
did.
didn't she?
I figured you didn't print it out, so I'm like, I'll just print it. No, that's fine. So she has a couple things. She's in California, like talked about. She did mention that she and Giselle had some great college stuff, which will be part of that piece of it. She attended the Zoom meeting on Sunday, February 23rd for the 4-day Town of Stonington Mystic Resilience Planning Workshop. The presenter gave an overview of the projects and what to expect over the following 3 days. They want lots of community input. Workshops will be interactive. Final plan is to be presented. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to attend the other ones. Oh, she just went to the first one. And then she also, I think, attended the Roberts Rules. But she also plans on the Mystic Alliance, I guess, has a meeting on March 12th.
Yeah.
So that's it. Pretty simple.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
All right, we're on to section 6, old business. First one is the open space inventory. And Tom, I think you got a status for the SCOG inventory.
Yeah, what, as I mentioned at last month, we worked with Noah, got an updated 120 plus items. That I submitted that per their directions, got no response, finally got back from my travels and stuff, and called up and finally got to the person because the person that they identified online gives you a nil address. So I called up, sorted the email addresses out. There was an extra space in it or something, and then I got that to this lady up there, and she acknowledges she has it and it's in being reviewed, but that just was as of this past week. So I have to give her at least a week. It'll be a week on Wednesday where she acknowledged that she has it. So took a while to get to the right person at CCOG.
Okay,
A lot of it's because they changed their website.
So you
and-
sent it, but it didn't go
email
anywhere
us.
because they had the wrong place. to
You're right.
send it.
Well, they had changed their emails
Right.
and their whole website organization and stuff. And plus the person that was doing this before is a different person now.
Yeah,
and
staffing changes.
a
that
lot,
stuff's
a
pretty-
major overhaul at CCOG and particularly in this area affecting us. So, but I did sort it all out and got the emails done and everything else. So more to follow.
Martivall. All right, 6.2, open space planning. I had nothing on that.
I have something.
You have something
Okay,
on
when I went and in my things at, for the back whack look around, I noticed that at the on the posting for the golf course that is for sale. And they also sent me an email this past week says, oh, we're still for sale, new broker, but it's for $5 million
price.
still for this 5 parcels. So I did go, when I walked by there, the sign, they have a new sign up there and they say, and they have each of the 5 parcels and they said, hey, we're willing to sell individually. So knowing that now do I have I'm looking for, should I go forward and take a look at what would be the potential cost for parcel number 2, which is the 8 acres alongside Birch Plain Creek, which is all in the NDDA. Get a price to see if they're willing to sell that, what their asking price is for that, because they're only advertising the 5 mil for all the entire 48 acres. And to see if we would be willing to, to think about going for an OSWA grant for that parcel. If it's within our parameters of the amount of money we already have in-house, so there's no new money coming from the town. But because of the high resiliency of this parcel, having actually walked on it a little bit, because there's no trespassing signs, to go see the parcel and stuff. There is a lot of wetland on it.
Well, the last time we took a whack at this, John felt that we would get it anyway.
Out of some sort of development, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if it's not happening,
Well, but then it's not.
but then we'll just get more
Develop it.
property. We'll just get more property on top of it, but we'll guarantee getting this area. Because there are other areas that are NDBBA
If I was-
areas on the property.
If I was a seller, I'd kind of go, why would I
Yeah.
do that? Because
Well,
I gotta
that's,
give another 20%.
all I'm saying is
Might as
let's
well.
go find out.
Can't hurt to
Yeah,
ask.
just
Okay,
find-
if you want to take it,
yeah,
to go ask for the cost of that
parcel,
parcel,
right.
great.
And then
We'll
I'll
find
bring
out.
it back and
Okay.
see what we want to do.
All right.
And be careful that when you express interest in that
You're
kind of
not in
stuff,
town.
if all of a sudden,
Yeah.
well, that too, all of a sudden the
Yeah.
price may get jacked up too,
Mhm.
because that has historically happened.
That's
in
what
the
I'm kind of,
past.
before, I haven't done anything. I haven't talked to anybody. That's why I wanted to talk about this first.
Actually, I'm okay with that. I don't think if you look at that property, nobody's gonna pay $5 million for that property. That's ridiculous.
But how long has this been up for sale for?
A couple of years.
Yeah, and it's still at $5 million.
It's still at 5 million. I don't know what it was before. I know it had
Oh,
been
it's
previously.
higher.
It's higher
It's,
now.
it's higher now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. That's why I went. That's not something I think I want to spend time on because it's just, nobody's gonna buy that.
But I see it
can't
as Sparkle Lake North, OSWA grant would be very easy to
Oh,
put together.
I agree. Strategically, I think it's a good spot. I just think that, like, you can't develop it. That parcel you're talking about, you really can't develop it. So it's gonna, so someone could buy all of them for the 5 million if they want to do that. And they're gonna be like, I can't do anything with this piece of the property anyway, so we're just gonna put an easement on or something like
That's
that.
the one
That's what's gonna happen.
20%
Exactly.
after the time.
Exactly, yep.
So
Well,
that's,
if we prevent that, yeah.
See, I like Tom's idea. We buy it now and then there's has to be another 20%.
well, that's why I'm saying if I was the owner, I wouldn't do that. But anyway, okay,
I wouldn't.
moving on. Anything else?
No, that's all I had.
Groton 20, maybe that should have been in executive session. Given Robert's rule.
No, this is just an inquiry.
I'm just being.
I'm just asking for what the price is. That's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
I'm doing.
okay. Let's see, 6.3, okay, PLCD. So this was the one where I sent out a note on our 6 priorities. I have 3 replies. Mr. Rafferty, Ms. Fitzpatrick, and Ms. Malloy. I haven't heard back from you guys.
I missed what you sent out.
Yeah, I did too.
I got bombarded with emails last month.
You guys delete, am I blocked in your
Well,
email?
you know, what's
now?
really interesting is my phone is not giving me the same email list as what's in my
Let me look.
iPad now. I'm real, because it's like, where is that? It's like the iPad.
It was a simple request that said, it's been over a year
Yeah.
since when we had our individual sessions
Mhm.
and kind of put together, here's our view of the priority. It's just to dig that up, took me about 5 minutes to find my old
Mhm.
statement. get those back together again so that, and I agreed to, one of the requests from the GCA to be able to put it out on the website that says, hey, here was our position priorities, which then sets us up next time we meet with if we ever meet with the consultant again. So it's just digging out what you already did. It's not asking, unless you want to do new work, just asking for your existing. We had those, every month we had a different, one of us went and did our
Presentations,
presentation.
monthly presentations.
So if you would, see, now this is an exact reason why it's a good thing to do. Because you're looking puzzled that you don't remember what you did.
Well, it's not that, I just don't, I'm still trying to sort so we are just basically updating our list of things to do what with?
No, the list isn't getting updated.
Okay,
It's just pulling out of the archives what we said were our priorities and what that meant,
Okay.
right? So that as we go forward with the Groton 2035 project, we kind of refresh it in our minds and be able to present it back in again. Because I kind of forgot a little bit about it myself. I went back and read my own notes. So that's just going back in time and digging it up. So that was the request.
okay.
Okay.
And I dug mine up and I sent it to you, and I said that this thing it's very dated at this point as far as as a new tool to be using as we start reviewing the 2025 plan.
So my counter was, we get those in, then we look at it as a commission that says, this stuff is outdated. Then we could say, let's go through another cycle once per month to update it. That's the future. What I'm asking for step one is, let's dig up what we did as a baseline.
Yes,
Okay.
sounds good.
You don't look happy, Michelle.
I'm trying to remember where it would be. I mean,
There
we
you go.
bring it,
That's
but
my
we
point.
You have to
bring it
go
out to
through
the
your,
meeting,
I
though.
went through the minutes of of 23 and 24 our meeting minutes. That's where I found where we talked about it. And that's where I got my stuff. And then I found then I said, I was back in this month and I went back and see, this is the two slides that I put together for
There was a
that went
couple
into the
slides I
agenda.
did,
Yeah,
It's
it's just a couple slides.
Pull the slides out of my file system. Okay,
But aren't they part of the agenda package?
yeah, so go and find it.
And it forces you to find it and review it.
Yeah. Okay, 6.4 budget support. I have nothing on the budget support. If anyone,
I'm trying to find out when the budget meeting is going to be.
Dave,
I don't know when the meeting's actually gonna be, but there was a CIP meeting last week.
That was the town manager CIP meeting.
It was it was with planning and zoning commission. It was a special meeting that basically looks at the different divisions. So it was public works, it was parks and rec, it was IT, it was, I think we had a couple, but not much. But yeah, it's online. So just look at, I think it's last week. I'll tell you when it was. I gotta look at the calendar. Hold on. Oh, where's my calendar?
I guess the question is, what's the next checkpoint? I mean, that was it. But that's the CIP stuff, not necessarily baseline budget
No, that's not, yeah,
for Parks and Rec.
that's just CIP stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know about the budget, but if you want to look at the CIP stuff, that's there. This is where I can give you a date. What happened?
Well, I wrote down February, so it's. You got a Zoom meeting?
You can, it wasn't just a Zoom. No, it was in person.
Oh, in person, okay.
They were meeting with what the heck was it?
Review of capital improvement program FY 26 to 31. Is it Thursday, February 20th by
That's it,
Planning
yep.
and Zoning Commission?
Yep.
All right, well, we could take.
It's all in the agenda. All those budgets are posted.
The CIPs are
The
also,
CIP are posted.
Okay, all right, so we could take a look at that.
So you want to take a look at that.
but I don't know in terms of, I can try to find out what that is. I'm sure it's the full budget.
And ours is zeroed for planning and zoning, for open space acquisition.
Yeah, we recommended that. I think, what are we up to? 200?
270, something like
That's what
that.
I read.
Yeah,
Yeah, somewhere 270.
somewhere around there, 270, 280.
Yeah, so we got a chunk of cash. We just don't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that parcel you're talking about ain't gonna be 270 grand.
No, I don't want to buy it. I want to go for an Oswald grant
Yeah.
for 75% funding.
Well, but then you'd need to spend some of that in order to do the survey.
Right, yeah, but with that, we would, that's
Yep,
what
yep,
I'm.
yep, yep. Okay. Okay, 6.5 vacant land review. I think we kind of covered that.
You covered that.
With our, with Corinne doing that initial stuff. And now our favorite topic, Michelle, Con College.
Yes, so we have 6 really cool projects going on. I'll give my 3 and then I'll let Giselle take over with the others. So in fact, the one group is sort of goes along with the next opening because the stewardship group did agree to do a beta test of the 2 apps for on the COP property. So that's a really good thing.
Okay,
They're real excited about that.
and does Tabitha know?
I'm going to set up a meeting for all 3 of my groups, that group with Tabitha and the other 2 groups with Megan, but after their spring break. So give them between now and spring break to get their stuff, to get questions together. I mean, Tabitha knows about it, I told her, but
okay.
I'm not gonna meet, I'm gonna let them do some legwork first. And then meet with Tabitha and Mark
Okay.
after
The
their
thing is to
spring.
make sure Tabitha has her questions that she would like to see answered, not necessarily give them to the kids first. For the
Well,
project, but she should have those in her hip pocket.
I think she already does.
Yeah, okay,
Based
that-
on our
that- that
meeting.
was
I'm
just my
not too
question.
concerned about that. It's mostly, how can they help her and with what, basically having her guide what they're doing.
Good.
But that'll be after their spring break. So sometime at the end of this month, early next month. And then, the other 2 are working on, one's doing the backpack for a property. I told them to use the, Pequot Woods. So they'll be developing a backpack for people doing Pequot Woods. And then, the other group is doing the school property, turning it into an eco space. And so again, Megan knows about both of those. She gave them some background information and I'll have them meet with her, after they get back from spring break.
Now, we were gonna have we're gonna use one of our regular meetings. for
Yes,
their
the Monday
update.
meeting will be their presentation. The May meeting will be their presentations,
That's was March? No,
May.
this is March, May.
May.
So we need to get, Dave, we need to get a special normal Conservation Commission meeting in the
next Monday.
next Monday.
After,
So I think we talked about this, but I'll go.
Yeah, we
So,
talked about it. I just. wanted to make
so
sure.
basically, May 5th
Yep.
will be the presentation of the College students.
Yep.
And then we'll have a special meeting on the 12th. That will be our regular monthly meeting.
The agenda.
The agenda.
Yeah,
will
the
be-
agenda.
We'll still have a regular meeting, but the agenda will only be the college student.
Right.
right, exactly. And then it's May 12th has to be the special.
Special,
meeting.
we'll take up
Right.
all our.
Pick up all
Right.
the normal stuff.
Right. And then there's only one other thing before I turn it over to Giselle, and Jen said that the 5 groups, so the one group is the Earth Day group that'll be at the Earth Day anyway. The other 5 groups, we asked them to present. They all want to do trifold posters. So the
Hmm.
question is, I told them that we would purchase the materials to give to them to use. And either we can do it as a commission or I'll just do it out of pocket. I don't care.
Don't give away your negotiating position up front. Dave,
I didn't hear anything.
you didn't hear that.
So you're gonna everyone's gonna do trifold? All 6?
All 5.
All
The
5,
other-
right? Not Earth
The other
Day.
one will be there, but
Right.
the other
Yeah.
5 that have other projects will put together a trifold to present at the Earth Day
Earth Day
Fair.
Fair. Mhm.
Okay.
What's the spring break again? Really, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of the month. I think it's the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's quick.
Yeah, there's not a lot of work time for
Time-
them.
time is-
Yeah. I need to double check, but I think it's the
Mhm.
middle of the month.
Oh. My groups, I have been bombarded with emails. That's why I got lost. I just found your email. I was like, so I apologize. I'll work on it.
On college is more important, Larry. Sorry to hear, like
They have
this
had
time of year.
so many questions. It's fun. I enjoy it. I miss being around college kids, so I do enjoy that. So the projects that Anne and myself are working on with the students is the Go Project 2025 or 2035, the trees, and as well as the Earth Day Expo. The Earth Day Expo, they have been the most active so far. It's
It's the funner one.
it is the fun one.
Well, and then they have someone working with them to
Yes.
do this stuff. So they
Mhm.
actually have stuff for them to do
To actu-
that's
physically
identifiable,
do.
right?
Yep. So on the 18th, they met with, I always forget his name. One of the originators. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
That's okay.
Oh, from Diddy Bag?
Oh, I think so, yes. But he's one of the ones that created the Earth Day Expo. The two students, they
Jason?
came- Jason. The two, they came, we introduced all of us to them, they introduced themselves. They were just there to like figure out what projects that we're gonna assign them to. So the first one was the flyers that I created that they're gonna be responsible for posting it everywhere, social media, all around college campus, anywhere that they feel is feasible to, get eyes on for people to be aware of. And they are going to be responsible for hosting the WHSU radio station. So the radio station, there is a silent booth, which I found was pretty cool. It's where any individual that wants to walk into the booth and they express their concerns on,
And they've done
climate
that, but that's what they had there
change.
before, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that was a very popular thing. So
Yep.
they're gonna keep doing that. So the students are also gonna be working with the WHSU radio station folk. And their last project that they've been assigned to is to host the judge panel. It sounds like that, I wasn't here for it last year, but it sounds like that we're going forward with. I kind of aim for community members and more people in like the jobs, but they want to be with in the politics. So I was like, okay, do what you want. From the reviews that I heard, it wasn't so great last year, so that's why I offered like maybe like green jobs, but they want to continue with the politics, so they're gonna reach out to a whole bunch of mayors, town council folks all over Connecticut, see if they want to do a judge panel and community folks can go and ask questions and stuff like that. Yeah. My tree people, my tree group, they kind of were, and it was partially my fault because I kind of just spewed out a whole bunch of ideas because the trees is a very interesting topic. And we had a Zoom meeting with them and we were able to solidify exactly what their project is, their project proposal and the plan, and they are very excited to work on that as well. They are going to be looking at, I'm forgetting the road, so I apologize, but it's in Groton. And
Some Groton Road.
it's some Groton road where it overfloods a lot, and they're gonna try and look at the history, the impacts, and what would happen if they implement these specific, I don't know what type of trees that they've chosen yet, but they want to see how these trees would reduce the
Water.
water flow. I think so, yes. They're gonna be doing,
Or trees.
I know.
I'm not sure that's gonna be enough for that,
Mhm.
but okay.
I offered that as well, cause I was like, this is. here's this, and they,
Mm.
I mean, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on their
Yeah,
plate.
no, yep, yep.
And then the Go Project group, I've reached out to them like 3 times and I haven't heard much from them. They did create the project proposal. They shared it with
So
us.
you're saying go, but go grounds a different, you.
You mean
it's
Groton
not go.
23rd? This is
Right,
the,
true.
this is the community garden thing, right?
Yes. I have reached out to them a couple times and, I'm assuming
Right.
that they're busy with everything.
Well,
and
one of the
they
guys was really sick
submitted-
and the other guy was doing it all for a while.
Oh.
So the one of the two wasn't even at the meeting and he was like not even available for the other guy to
Yes.
talk to. So there is, it was a one-person project, at least for a while.
Oh,
So that could be
that
part of the
definitely.
issue.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to.
No, I'm just telling you, that's part of the
That's
issue. Yeah.
Well, they did submit their project proposal and I offered my advice. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm probably gonna do a follow-up with them. But yeah, those are my groups.
Thank you. Let's see, open space stewardship. Well, we kind of talked about that pretty much. Outreach, I think we've talked about that. And
Oh, just one thing under outreach. I will be attending with Giselle, the
Oh.
CLCC thing.
and you're attending the.
Yeah.
Taking back?
No, this
That's what it
CLCC.
is. That's, you guys decided not to do Kakiwak. We talked about that
It's
last
the other-
time.
Yeah, it's the other one. The one that had the whole section on tree.
The cause you're talking about.
Cause, that's right. A lot of, I keep saying, there seems to be a lot of.
Well, that's the other thing I was gonna ask under this, the outreach was that there's, on March 27th, there's a Long Island Sound Summit down in Bridgeport for a day. It's, starts at 11, ends at like 3. So you can get around the traffic, I guess. I didn't know, I'm not available that day, but I just point that one out. It's another, something to go to. It's $25, but you get lunch.
Yes, a lot of these sessions. Trying to pick the ones that actually will result in.
Yeah, this one, what bothered me about it, it's similar to the CLCC where they've got the speaker in the morning and then workshops in the afternoon. But they hadn't put the workshops out yet, so you couldn't, I didn't know what to sign up
Okay.
for. I just pointing it out under the outreach area here, but if anybody's interested in getting involved with the Long Island Sound folks.
Okay, 6.9 Tree Advisory Board. So the new tree warden, Jeff Church. I guess I'm looking for a recommendation and or topic, Giselle, that we would invite him to one of our upcoming meetings to provide an update, I mean,
Well,
I'm looking for recommendations on what he should get from him. Yeah.
and from my viewpoint, in the past, we've asked him to tell us how his certification process went, because he had to go through that recently
I
in the
think
past year.
he is done.
Yeah, he's completed it,
Yeah.
but just what we haven't heard feedback from him in regard to, what did he learn from it? And is there other people in the town to send to this, to have a backup? This is another area that I would be concerned about, because everything that sounds, we're always following up because we don't have anybody in public works or Parks and Rec that is already certified. And should we be getting other people lined up to be the tree warden in addition? So we got more than just one person deep that's typically uncertified for the year and a half it takes to get certified, to be better prepared for that.
I guess another question would be, is he going to be part of the process for the Wolfbrook property, the forestry analysis? I mean, the consultant's doing it, but is he going to?
And the other
Be
thing I would be
involved.
interested in knowing from him is a question was, how involved was he with the I-95 clearing here? And was he involved in that at all? And did he work with them in regard to identification of any kind of special species and stuff that they should have saved? Even though I was pretty clear cutting, I recognize that the town, that it'd be interesting to see, because I think we still owe a letter to DOT saying, hey, give us some trees back, guys. In the town, and what, and where would, if, as the tree officer, where would he put those trees?
So you got a couple of
I
suggestions.
was gonna say, I like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Yeah, because I reached out to I've been chatting with them, the Connecticut Tree Advisory Board. They officially put me on their email chain, and I believe I said this a while back, but they declined our proposal to do that. So if we gotta do it, I don't mind doing that. They are a very interesting group.
There's not a restriction on us just saying, come to this particular meeting. Right?
No, I would ask him, if you reach out to him, I would ask when his availability is.
Yeah, okay, so I guess work with Dave, figure out what you want to ask, get with Dave, and then Dave can work with Jeff and say, pick a time like we did with Corinne to come in.
Yeah, I would give him some things to discuss, and maybe not how his training's doing. I think I would
What's the feedback that he,
How was it?
how was it? That's
yeah,
all
I
I'm
get
saying.
that,
Yeah.
but that could be like a very small snippet. I'm thinking
agree.
more of like, maybe it's more of a collective, what things are you working on
Mhm.
town-wide? I think the DOT thing, I don't think any town has any, it's not in our purview. So we don't have any
I would just,
choice.
I would
Yeah.
just ask the question
Yeah.
to
I'm
verify it.
I'm almost positive, because if you look,
I would be
if you've been
shocked
stuck
it
in,
was anything other.
if you've been, if you're on the highway when they do that there, they're not identifying anything.
I agree.
You know, so I think
That's
it's,
my concern.
I don't think any community, I think it's like, this is our contract. You have a multi-million-dollar contract, take down the trees that are in the right of way that are gonna fall on the highway, which is the
No,
concern.
it's this measure feet.
I mean, that's basically what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Question? In the past, the tree warden has been at one point in Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
and then now it's in Public Works.
Correct. Yep.
And so the question that I have is there a different philosophy?
That would
from-
be a better question for that.
That's a
than-
good
That's
question.
another good question.
Yeah.
And what their priorities are and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, obviously the tree management plan that talks about a lot of it, and I don't know what the status of that is and where it is at this point. I don't think it's drafted anymore. I think it's pretty much final. But I don't know what their next steps are in terms of that.
Well, got
And
a lot of
Yes.
things.
And I do have one other thing
Oh.
too on this. I think it's Saturday. Not this Saturday. I'm just making sure I have the date right before I give it to you guys. April. It is Saturday, April 26th is Arbor Day celebration. It's going to be at the library. They're going to do a planting at the library.
Where?
I guess there's a space where they took something down. They're working with the librarian on with
They like
Whatever.
doing things there.
Yeah, what, around the new.
They've done
ice
other
rink
trees
they
there,
did?
I think.
Hockey rink they did?
Yeah, no, that's actually a big project. So you'll start seeing fairly soon. The hockey rink is, I think, almost done, if not done. The next part is the pickleball courts. So they're going to be redoing the multi-use field there. That's kind of there right now. But they're going to be adding. There's going to be a lot of landscaping going in there and several pickleball courts. A new bath.
That's where the pickleball.
New bathrooms. Yep, or new bathroom at some point. So
And
yeah.
You're saying that's on Wednesday, the 26th, or?
No,
Saturday.
Saturday,
20
April.
Oh,
April 6th.
April.
Arbor
Okay.
Day.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
And I should say that all of you will get an invite at some point.
Okay.
I don't know what time yet. It's probably 9 a.m. Just because everything seems to happen at 9 a.m. So
On Saturdays.
All right.
Saturdays, yeah.
7. I'd say 7. Well, one of them was the state bill on styrofoam, which we discussed.
We talked about it, yeah.
The other one is SB 9. We go from the House to the Senate. And this is labeled an act concerning the environment, climate, and sustainability, municipal and state planning, and the use of neonicotinoids and second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides.
God bless
A
you.
lengthy title. And it's a lengthy bill, unlike the prior
It's
one.
very lengthy. Yeah.
This one is a very lengthy bill. And I'm trying to decide how to,
I think it's OBE because they already had the hearing today, right?
I thought,
last
yeah,
week.
it just came out. I think I came out and I didn't have a chance to send you the link, right? Or I mentioned it, but the link's not in our agenda.
They are, the committee's already voted on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
Oh, no, it has it.
I don't think they
I said,
voted.
no, I take it back. They just got the draft tally
Right.
sheet ready.
Makes sense.
Um. Yeah, did you see, I didn't see any dates on when something would be held. Is that something come out in the last couple days? I haven't looked at
I'll
that.
continue looking here. Oh, public hearings. They March, oh, they marched yesterday, it was March 3rd, and they had another one to March to SB, let's see, SB9, did they take that up to yesterday or today? SB9 was yesterday,
It was yesterday.
yeah. So the testimony closed. I think.
That was quick. I just found out about it.
Yeah. That's what I say, some of this stuff happens
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, haven't, yeah, which is very suspicious, isn't it?
Well,
All right, well, I guess we. All right, I guess we'll kind of track where that's going. There was a lot of stuff in that particular bill. All right, other new business that someone would like to raise?
Technically can't raise new business if it's not a new business.
That's Robert Rules of
Yeah.
Order, based
Right.
on what we learned on.
Go to that meeting.
Thursday.
But with the vote
Not
of
the-
the.
yeah.
the two
You can do, yes,
thirds,
with 2/3,
we
yes,
can't
which you
bring
can,
a new
You can
item
modify
to
the
the
agenda.
agenda.
yes,
Beginning
at the
of the
beginning of the
meeting.
agenda.
At the
beginning-
beginning of the meeting.
Michelle is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you want to add, we'll add to next month.
Well, then to bring it
Might
up,
be
we
too
could
late.
add it to next month.
True,
That's
exactly.
fine. How
Absolutely.
would you know unless you?
Well, that's why we communicate.
Yeah, that's what, yes. Speaking of communications, report of staff.
So, this may or may not be of interest to you, but, the Connecticut Emergency Management and Homeland Security is doing a basically intro to hurricanes workshop on March 26th. It doesn't have the date on here, but I think it's at nighttime. I think it's from 5 to 8:30. If anyone is interested, it's a free workshop. It's just to get the community basically educated about stuff going on. If you're interested.
Okay.
Oh, that's all I got.
just as for a point, guard, my testimony that I did put in about SB9 as a citizen, it was recorded.
Oh, didn't you?
Yeah, in support of
That
it.
was good. You got that one. I didn't, yeah. All right, all right. If that's it, I'm looking, Michelle,
I move we adjourn.
second,
Second.
Oh, that's
second.
great.
Second.
The vice chair says second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Voice vote is unanimous. And we call a meeting to a close at
6:38.
37.
Well, this one, I use a computer here because it's probably more real.
Looking at my computer.
Spend a minute just talking about that.
Exactly.
You want to postpone your